afternoon, everyone. Most of you here knew John in one capacity or another, but perhaps never knew his whole story, so I'll try to complete it for you. John and his family, his parents, sister Irene, and two brothers, Tim and Bernard, lived at 6 Rossa Street. His father ran a small grocery shop in the front of the house, and his mother was a national teacher. John always spoke fondly of his early school days in Dara National School, where his mother taught. He and his mother would set off every morning in a pony and trap, driven by his father. Seldom have we been in Clonakilty that we failed to pass the old school on one of our spins around the area. He attended St. Mary's Secondary School, run by Mr. and Mrs. Deneen, and after his leaving went to England for a couple of years, working in a foundry to fund his university studies. It must have been this hard work that prepared him well physically for his future footballing days. While in England, he stayed with his uncle's family and was close to his Sheehy cousins throughout the years. As are many people, they are very disappointed that they cannot be here with us today. John attended UCC and UCD, studying agricultural science, and chose teaching as his career, teaching science and maths. His first 3 years as a teacher in the vocational sector were spent between schools in Bantry and Castleton-Bear. Castleton-Bear always held a special place in his heart. He was very friendly with the Lorden family at the time and continued to visit them in every journey to Barra since. He often remarked that his students there were the nicest, most polite children he had ever taught. His 4th year was spent between Dunmanway and Bandon, and then he was looking for a new adventure. He received a grant for graduate work in the United States and accepted the first offer he received from North Dakota State University. When I first heard this, I tried very hard to think of a colder place to be in the winter, but I couldn't. But he survived the cold. Having completed his master's degree and all the coursework for a PhD, he decided he needed a job and money more than a PhD. So he took his master's and ran. This time to the State Department of Agriculture in Michigan, working as a plant pathologist. It was while he was there that I met John in 1972 through my cousin Mary Wally, here from Clonakilty, who was visiting relatives in the States at the time. I am so grateful to you, Mary. In 1976, John returned to Ireland. He spent several months carrying out repairs to his Rossa Street house, which had been lying idle for some years. He quickly acquired new skills in areas such as carpentry, wallpapering, painting, plumbing, laying floors, all with the expert help of local tradesmen and handymen who worked with him to make Rossa Street a home again. It holds so many good memories for both of us, who would spend our school breaks and holidays there for many years. John was a very sociable and interested person. When we'd arrive in Clonakilty, I'd be left bringing in our cases from the car, as John would make a beeline over to Dan Dash's to quiz Eileen Hurley on the news of the town since his last visit. And the next morning, just in case he had missed anything, he would have a cup of tea and a chat with Paddy Cullinan from the Dole office, which was now located in the front of the house. He'd go out every morning up to Dave McCarthy for the Irish Times and over to Brosnan's for a pint of milk, often returning about an hour later as he would stop and chat with whomever he met. And I would have had the kettle boiled for about 20 times waiting for that milk. No trip to Clonakilty from Dublin was complete without an evening of laughs at the home of Dennis and Josie McCarthy, or spins to Ring, Dara, Courtmacsherry, Glandore, Baltimore, or Friday nights in Fahy's pub, or Tuesday nights at the sessions in O'Donovan's Hotel. For years, John would go to O'Donovan's Hotel for breakfast, mainly to meet and chat with the people he knew. He always looked forward to that. He absolutely loved West Cork, but particularly Clonakilty and its people. His final teaching job was in Stillorgan Vocational School in Dublin from 1978 until he retired in 1999. After 2 years of teaching science and maths, he was appointed principal in 1980. The school was in danger of closing due to falling numbers, but John was having none of it. He turned that school around, offering post-leaving cert and adult education courses. The school would now be called Stillorgan Senior College, and it is still thriving. As for retirement, I wondered how he would ever cope, as he seemed to live in the school. But it wasn't difficult at all. John had so many interests that he now had time for. He thoroughly enjoyed every day of his retirement. He was a great reader, a wonderful gardener, an excellent photographer, and an enthusiastic sports fan. He loved to travel. He had a great interest in Irish heritage, and many members of my family and other visitors to Ireland can attest to being led by John through mucky fields, over walls, over ditches, to see a high cross, a stone circle, or a wedge tomb. And that he thought they absolutely must see these things. And he wanted to make sure they left Ireland well informed. He was a massive GAA follower, as many of you know, and amazingly could recall match scores and specific years from his own playing days with Clonakilty, UCC, and the Cork junior team. In recent times, he would head over to Ahamilla on a regular basis just to see if there was a match on. One of his favorite challenges was the annual hunt for All Ireland tickets. His old friend Tim Downey and later Dennis O'Sullivan would usually be able to produce the elusive ticket for him. And he would always say to me, "I'm so sorry, but I could only get one." And finally, apart from all John's achievements in life, he was a warm, kind, smart, and generous man with a sensitive and caring nature. He had a great sense of humor and loved hearing and telling stories. He was simply a lovely man who would be missed by everyone who knew him. Rest in peace, John.